moving towards our time when we shall start the business. In the meantime, I want to inform you that our today's breakfast conversation is going to be around the theme, which I know is at the center of each of your businesses. That is, a satisfied customer is the best business strategy for all. That is the theme of our today's breakfast meeting. At the authority, as we engage with the public, we have noted the growing importance of focusing on the customer. And this is at the backdrop of the realization that the business that we are involved in, that is the insurance business, is a unique one. It is a service. It is intangible. And hence making customer experience very critical for the success of every business model. Under the leadership of the Chief Executive Officer, we conducted a study to try and establish what customers are saying, what your customers are saying about the quality of your service, the extent to which they are happy or satisfied, and they made some recommendations on some areas of improvement. A decision was made that we shall be doing this study regularly to try and focus on, or to try and identify whether there are improvements or there are some other areas that you need to focus on. As I prepare to invite the presenter this morning, allow me share with you some few stories which I extracted in preparation for the presentation. And you'll try to reflect because some of them may be speaking to your businesses. The first story is about a customer who worked in a shop trying to buy lights, electric lights, and he wanted the top brand. When he entered the shop, he wanted to be sure that what was presented to him was actually working and it was the top brand. So he insisted that they had to check each of the bulbs to ensure that they are working. The shop attendant did that, and indeed they were all working. So he told the customer the price and handed over the box. The customer was not, he looked so alarmed. And the shop attendant was wondering what's the problem. He said, this is what we have just checked and everything is working. The customer said, no, I will not take this box because it's opened. Yeah, he wanted to check. I don't know whether the check would have been done when the box is closed. You have opened. He's refusing. You cannot take the box because it's opened. Some customers are like that. You sometimes don't know what they want. But there is also another story about another customer who went to a garage and received very good service. Now, when he reached home, he received a message from the garage, handwritten. And this is what it was saying. Dear Sunday, thank you for giving us chance to work on your car. I truly appreciate your business and I hope you are satisfied with the level of service we provided. Please do not hesitate to call on us again. Yours sincerely, Jim. It was handwritten, photographed, and sent to the customer. Now the customer felt the warmth and shared it on social media. Now, the most important thing to this story are the responses, the conversations around that post. One of the responses was, I used to live in that place and I know exactly who that is. He's a good man. Stay with him. And another one, who was actually not even a customer, mentioned that it is the little things like this that earn business. If I got this card, I would never use another mechanic in my life. You can reflect on that. Small things, big differences. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 8, and I want to invite the Chief Executive Officer, Insurance Regulatory Authority of Uganda, who is not new to you, Alhaji Kadunabi Ibrahim Lubega, to come and take us through the highlights of your customers' satisfaction survey that we did in the year 2023. Please pay attention because I'm sure the feedback is very critical for all of you. Alhaji, you're most welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are enjoying your breakfast. And as agreed, we want to really get moving. I know some of the seats are still empty, meaning that some are yet to come. But we cannot disadvantage those of you who kept time waiting for those who haven't. As already mentioned by Director of Research, Sunday, we want to share with you what was found out, and really it is what was found out, and it is on the critical area which we want, on the customer satisfaction. So we will look at it from the perspective of looking at the introduction. We will then go ahead to look at what others say about the customer satisfaction. Then Briefly, we'll touch on what were the areas which, when we went out to the people, we asked, and maybe the methodology, but we'll just give the highlights of it. Briefly, we also touch on the findings, and the findings, there are those general findings, and there are those which we take as key findings. We'll touch on that. Then what we think are the drivers of satisfaction, and what we think are the recommendations and conclusion. So, by way of introduction, I want to say that customer satisfaction now I don't know what I see different things on different screens. What is the problem? Customer satisfaction is very, very important, as we all know, in whatever we do. And it is more important in insurance, because we know we are selling a service. Someone is giving you his money, and what you are giving him in return, he cannot take it home as he takes home a car if someone buys a car, or if someone buys sugar, he takes home at least the sugar. But the service is much felt when a customer is satisfied. And this leads to customer loyalty. Someone will be attached to you because he or she is satisfied with the service you are offering. If he's not satisfied, on the contrary, then also that talks volumes. And also, we look at it as very critical, because when a customer is not satisfied, it has implications. And when he is satisfied, he will come again and again and again. Later, I'll tell you what has been stated on those customers who are satisfied and those who are not satisfied. And when a customer is satisfied, it also helps us to improve our businesses, because that's why we open anyway. We open our doors to serve the customers. We make some profit. We do this and that and that. So none of us should deceive himself or herself that he is helping the people you are serving. They are the reasons why we open, and we must serve them better. Therefore, their voice is very, very important and valuable asset to each one's business. If a customer is going to talk good about your business, it is good for you. He eventually becomes your marketing officer when you haven't paid him or her. So we must all strive to see that we serve them better. And as a result of that, we felt it important that we should do a study to find out the level of satisfaction. So now, moving to trying to understand what others say about customer satisfaction, I'll start with a quotation from the American Express. Where they said customers are willing to spend 17% more on a company that provides outstanding customer service. These customers, even without you doing anything else, they are willing to spend a little more, 17%, according to American Express, 17% more, if he's satisfied. If a customer is satisfied, he'll be willing to spend an extra budget on it. And HubSpot, which is a software developer, is quoted that 93% of customers are likely to make repeat purchases with those companies which offer excellent service. 93% means almost everybody who you have served and is satisfied will come back to you. And this customer, you don't need any more convincing, because you have already convinced him or her when you provided a good service. This means even before you yearn to go to new areas, if you serve those customers you have and they are satisfied, you already have an assured market. You already have people who can buy from you, who can come back from you. And ladies and gentlemen, this sends a message that we must make sure that those customers we have, we make sure they do not move out of our offices unless they are satisfied. Sunday has already alluded to someone who wanted the bulbs tested, and then he couldn't take the bulbs because the box was open. Yes, they will be like that. But still, make sure nobody moves out of your office unless you have convinced him or her what he wants. Make sure that by the time he moves out, you are at the same page. Because if he doesn't, then it will create another problem. And another source said 72% of the customers will share a negative experience with 15 or even more people. 72%. It means whatever you do wrong will spread to more than 15 people by each of the person you have offended or you have not satisfied. What do we do? But look, when you go ahead to look, on the contrary, If the customer is satisfied, 13%, 13 against 72%, 13% will share the good news. And when they share the good news, they will share it with 5 or 6. The bad news, 72%, which means almost everybody you offend will share. Almost. Because this is 2/3. This is 72% is 2/3 of those people who are offended in your workplace. They will share with 15 or more. But those ones you have satisfied, only 13, which means almost 1/10 are the ones who will share. But even when they will share with only 5 or 6. It means that the good news will eventually move anyway, but it moves much slower than the bad news. There is a Uganda version of it, and those who know it know. The bad news spreads faster than the good news. So this is what these people are saying here. The other one from the Salesforce says that 91% of customers unhappy with the brand will leave the brand without even complaining. Someone will just walk away. And 91%, it means almost everybody who is not satisfied will just walk away without bothering himself or herself with you. They say, he just walks away and goes and looks for the alternative. Or he will completely leave the consumption of that service or good. Now, this means, therefore, that we should not wait for people to complain. Because if we are to wait for people to complain, 91% of the customers who are unhappy with the brand will leave without complaining. Someone can tell you, okay, we will conclude it tomorrow. And tomorrow he does not show up. You even call, he doesn't even pick. Because he's not satisfied with the service you offered. Now, these are good highlights which should really help us, because in the business you are in, or we regulate, this happens. And as I said earlier on, if it happens in the service, in the area where people are buying goods, someone knows that I'll buy a pair of shoes. It might be bad, but I'll take it home. But when someone is taking a policy document, a paper, someone thinks he's taking nothing. Not until the other time comes. So we must convince them, we must satisfy them in as much as possible. The other one talked of 34% of the time customers switch brands because they are dissatisfied with the customer service. 34% of those who are not satisfied with your brand, with what you are offering, will eventually switch to another one. And this is according to Variant. they will switch to something else because you haven't satisfied them. But these are 34. The rest, you don't know where they are, and you don't know what is going to happen next. The other one is 83% of the companies that believe it's essential to make customers happy also experience growing revenue. At least Forbes, you definitely know Forbes. This is tested. This is what is happening globally. 83% of the companies that believe that it is important to convince, to satisfy their customers, also their revenue grow. We all yearn to have our revenue growing. It means if 83% of the companies that satisfy their customer eventually have growth in their revenue, isn't it the best way to do? Isn't it what we should all yearn to be doing? Please, let's look there. The other one is from Salesforce, which said 84% of customers say they are more likely to stick with a brand that treats them like a person, not a number, not numbers. I think the taxi drivers, these matatus, if you have been lucky like I have been, and you used them for some good time, when you sit in the taxi and he drives past a stage with many people waiting outside, you say, "Hey, abantu banji bali bweru," as if for you who are inside, you are not people. So to them it is the numbers. When you sit, you just mzee furuma, and he wants to move on, because for him, he's just treating you like numbers. These ones have finished. These ones have finished. Now that still happens to the salespeople, which the agents and your teams. You sit in your top management meetings and you say, each one of you must bring 30 businesses or 50 or whatever number you give. And at the end, in the next top management, you are saying, how many did you bring? Say 15. No, for you. And then you reprimand someone. Then these people also is the same way they treat the other customers. He's hiring a customer. He doesn't explain to the customer very well exactly what this cover is about, and that will lead eventually to mis-selling and many other things. So we are just looking at the customers as numbers. When you do that, you need to look at this. 84% of customers, 84% will stick with you if they found out that you valued them. If you did not value them and you are counting numbers, this one I've finished, this one, then eventually he will move on. He or she will move on. Again, Forbes said that nearly 2/3 of the companies compete primarily on customer experience. Customer experience. Customer experience, customer satisfaction. 2/3 is 75%. No, actually 2/3 is not 75%. 2/3 is 67%. 67% customer experience. So, and when you go to another one, which says that business revenue can go almost double in 36 months if customer experience is improved to satisfactory levels. In 3 years, the business revenue will improve if you have customers who are satisfied. So let's look at these quotations among others, and then they help us to improve on our businesses. The parameters which we assessed in our study, and the study was done by our team at the Insurance Regulatory Authority. We looked at the mode of premium payment, and that was in the customer satisfaction. How were they satisfied in terms of the mode which we use on premium payment? The other one was on the nature and range of the products which are on the market or which we sell to the people. The other parameter was on our claims handling processes. Are people satisfied the way we handle their claims? Are people happy that their claims are handled in the time they expect their claims to be handled? And other things like that. Then the other parameter was on complaints handling processes. And the complaints handling processes, we looked at those when someone has something he's not satisfied with internally in your companies. Are you really doing a job to make sure that before this person moves out of your office, his claim has been resolved internally? And to another extent, it stretched to when people can also complain to the Insurance Regulatory Authority. We also sought to identify the key drivers of satisfaction. What is that really which makes a person satisfied, and on the contrary, which makes him or her not satisfied? And the challenges policyholders face in assessing the services. So these were the things which, among others, were looked at and were intended to ensure that we get more insight of what the customers want. The design of what we used was a mixed design which looked at the qualitative and the quantitative methods. Really, the qualitative is looking at how good or how the quality of doing this exercise, and the quantitative is the numbers. Quantity is the numbers. So that is what was used as a design. And in terms of the scope, we looked at the traditional regional hubs, the Western, Eastern, Northern, and Central. So when we were doing this exercise, we had to pick samples from all over the country, but mindful of how our country is divided. And in terms of the population, the policyholders which we started looking at were those numbers, but eventually we picked a sample of 384 policyholders who really, when you go down to the response rate, 74% of them responded to our study, which really meant that about 290 people responded. And those who responded, 157 were non-life, and 132 were life. From that exercise, the general findings were that and general findings, we are just picking some of what we picked from that exercise. Like one customer, or some of the customers, said, I started with one policy 5 years ago, and my constant interaction with my insurance advisor gave me more confidence, and I'm now running education policy for each of my 5 children to cater for their fees. Someone started with one policy, and because there was constant interaction, and he's happy. Now he has at least 5 policies for his or her children. It means that someone is willing to spend. I told you earlier on what the other studies have done, that someone is willing to spend a little more when he's happy. So that is one of the general finding. Another general finding about the unhappy client, like this one said, I had a saving policy for 5 years, and after 2 years, I lost my job, and it also notified the insurer. Now, after another year, he also got another job, and I then requested the insurer to extend the policy period and reschedule the payment period. But they insisted that he must pay the arrears first before reinstatement. Now he was only left with one option of cancelling. And he lost all his earlier savings. He's still wondering whether the insurers want to help people grow or to become poorer. Definitely you can read the frustration in this statement. Really, what was the intention? Was it your intention that when this person defaults for this period, we will take this premium? And his intentions was to save and have this policy which will mature after 10 years or 20 years or whatever period. And someone lost a job. He's telling you, can you please reschedule? These are some of the things which we need really to address ourselves to if we need to remain in business. If we don't, we'll be wiped out of business. We'll be wiped out of business. Is it our intention? No. It is not your intentions. It is not our intentions as the regulator. So the earlier we address these challenges, the better for us if we are to survive, if we are to move with everybody to the next generation. And when we convince people to come to us, we want to add on the numbers. We don't want the numbers to go under. We don't want the revenue which your company or the other one's company is making to go under. But still, we must ensure that we do provide a service which everybody will benefit from. The other one is, again, another story. Someone said, and we must know the trends of the times. We must know that where we are now, people are more going legal. So, like this one, visited a facility that was on the list of the accredited providers. And mark the words, it was on the list of the accredited providers. You people, you sell medical, you sell whatever policies you are selling, and you have these providers and you share, just share. Then afterwards you start complaining and say, maybe that was an old list. We had revised it, but these people made a mistake. Whom are you telling? Whom are you telling those stories? Someone visited this provider who was on the list for a maternity service because the wife was due to delivery by C-section. I was advised that I needed approval first from the insurer. And when I contacted them, I was told that I should go to another facility because where I was, they wouldn't cover that service. I was disturbed and wondered whether it was actually in order for insurers to assume such a specialized role. But he obliged because I had no option and went to another facility. Good enough. All went well. But I've since been wondering what would happen in case things went wrong. Can you now, you are the ones who issued the policy. You issued the list. Now, someone reaches at one of the facilities on the list, then you tell him, no, actually, you give a story now. Someone's wife is at death point. He's going to deliver, but by C-section. Now you are giving stories. Now you go to another facility. It might be 10 or 20 kilometers away. And you don't know what can happen in between. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why we are bringing these ones out, we want you to think think of the implications of our decisions, of your decisions. Think of the implications. Don't be like you are moving in a straight jacket. Think of it if it were you. And now, as you are the CEO, or you are the board chairman, or you are the director operations, or director whatever name, think of the decisions you are making and its implication to the society you are serving, and also to the company, to your company. Would it bring you more people, or it will discourage people from you? When you think of it and you make decisions aware of its implications, it really helps us to move to the next level. The other one is insurance providers should increasingly recognize that today's customers insist on improvements in quality of service and having many alternatives. So, we need to get ready. We need to get ready, because if you don't, then many things will change. So at all times, our companies must think of changing the ways we are doing things. We need to reinvent ourselves. We need to do things better if we are to remain relevant. Because as I told you in one of the meetings, for us when we were underwriters, we used to have a pile of exclusions and inclusions somewhere. They were pre-typed. And you just go, you cut it, then you bring it, paste it in a policy. You could look at a policy and really you wonder. But it was normal during that time. But do it now. Then you will not be in business. Equally, let's also think of better ways of doing things. Do people up to now require that someone must walk to your office to pick a policy? Or someone can get it at the comfort of his office and by email or by whatever method, someone can know that I'm covered and these are the terms. These are some of the things which we need to think about in order to move to the next level. The other one, even when you honor the obligation, if you have made someone unhappy, you will still remain unhappy. And that means you must be mindful to quickly address the concern of that client in order not to take him up to the other end. Then eventually you pay. Now you see these people, like this one of the 1.7 million. Someone, it took 8 days of walking back and forth just to get a discharge voucher. And that means that this person's claim was payable. You are going to issue a discharge voucher, you take 8 days or 8 walking back and forth. Come back tomorrow. No. The technical manager is not there. You see, my boss is the one who has to sign the file is not here. And you think you are doing a service to this client. Eventually, he signs a discharge voucher. Then it takes him another 29 days even to be paid. And to be paid 1.7 million. Now, do you want him to leave his money or not? Is it his or her money, or it is yours? Now, that's where we get really to some bit of fight. And as I told you, I'm not a quarrelsome person. I'm a very good person. And equally, my team at IRA is a good team. But really, when you hear such a thing, what do? You only need to look bad. But it is you who are bad. When you are good, you make these things happen faster, and everybody will be happy, and we move to the next level. The other really finding is about someone who had his elapsed notice, and he tried to make good, but you realize you can read that for yourselves later of what happened. Then going to the key findings quickly, looking at the parameters which I told you earlier on, the premium payment process, the level of satisfaction was 77%. And the customer service, how our customers satisfied, was 72%. Communication from insurers. If people are receiving communication in time, if it is accurate, do they understand the communication? 68%. And the claims handling, 68%. You definitely know why we open up. Claims handling, you see, 68%. Complaints resolution, 52%. You remember I told you one time about the marks of these days. Those of you who have children, for someone to get a D1, he must get 95%. Now, maybe that was not our times. During our times, when you get 80, it was a D1. Someone is saying even 75. Actually, it started at 75. 75. Then eventually it went to 80. But now, 95. Now, when you get 68, where do you think you will be? And that's where we are. Now, when you want to average, this averaging, once you want things to move, to look a little bit good, it is 74. You will not even smell any good school. They will not allow you even to come to the gate. Because that is way, way below the expected standards. I have my way, I believe. I say we travel first class. Now, if you want to travel first class and you having 52, 68, you'll not move with me. But all of us should really move first class because it is good and it will make our work much better. Then trying to get the Net Promoter Score, and this is a little bit technical. I don't want to take much time on it. You see, we are getting the 60. There is those who said yes, 77, and you see we have the passive. When you reduce it, you have the 66%. Then you less those who said no, and you get 43% as the Net Promoter Score. That has implications on what we do, but because it is a bit technical, let me not bore you with it much of the time. And the passives, really, you can move with them. They can move with you if you convince. If you convince them, they can move with you, and you go. You improve on what the performance is. And I have also shared with you some of the studies which were made earlier, and the meaning of what we got in view of what other studies have done to help you understand. But most critically, we must all target to improving our way of doing things. Now, moving to the drivers of satisfaction, according to the study, it was found out that it is when the pricing is reasonable, the customers are satisfied. And reasonable may come or may not come as a result of how you explain. Why are you charging this? What are the benefits when you pay this? And that will help this customer to know that what was charged was reasonable or not reasonable. The second was on the claims management. How efficient are you when it comes to claims management? I heard of one who talked of those instant payments. I think it was one company. I haven't really heard it. Even that one who started it, I haven't heard him, that company, going to a second level. Because I thought you were starting and you are going to improve on that, you are improving on that. But also others to pick some lessons and do something in that line. But now, even up to today, people are still complaining, when I have this claim, I will have to chase. People should not be chasing claims. It's their right to be paid. It should be your obligation to see that when someone suffers a loss, he's quickly paid. The other one is adequacy of the customer facing stuff in terms of the technical knowledge. The knowledge these people exhibit when they are explaining to them, they are explaining, are they conversant with what they are selling? Are they conversant with exactly they are telling the people? Can they, if a customer asks a counter question, can he answer effectively? Or someone is just crammed something and he doesn't know exactly the details of what he's selling. The other driver was the relevancy of the product or the solution to the condition of the customer. Customers want to answer their problems, their challenges. So if you are selling, is what you are selling what he requires or what you have been told to sell? Let's sell what people want. And this was one of the drivers of customer satisfaction. The other driver was on how easy or the extent of appreciation of the terms and conditions before contracting. How easy it is, and the extent of appreciation of the terms to the condition of this person who is buying. And the other driver was on the convenience and reliability. Is this product we are selling reliable? Is it convenient to the person you are selling? How convenient is it for this person to get that service? Or we still want people to drive to our offices in order to get this service and things like that. The other was on the simplicity of the product. People, they used to accuse us in the insurance of the small prints, of those technical words. If we make it simple, what do we lose? So this is what was found out as one of the drivers. And the response time. I told you of the other one who had to work for 8 days in order to sign a discharge voucher and wait for another 29 days to receive a payment. How much time does one need to be paid or to be resolved? If it is a policy to be issued, whatever is required to be done. And the personalization was also, does this talk to what I need as a person, or it talks of something else? Then the other ones were the drivers of dissatisfaction. These have been highlighted there. And by and large, they talk to what I told you as one of the drivers of satisfaction. But there is also issue of poor record keeping or reconciliation standoff, not providing monthly or annual updates, inflexible payment plans. You remember the discussions we've been having about, can we make people who want to drive their vehicles over the weekend alone, can they buy and pay for only that period? And the bureaucracy, and some also recommend working hours also disturb them. Then the recommendations, we need to think of our claims payment procedures and make it sustainable. We also need to have coordinate the expectations of the clients. Sandy told you the one of the box. And have deliberate to dialogue with our clients. We also need to use the digital channels because it is the way to go. We also need to provide monthly and annual statements and develop legitimate and incentives which need to be cleared really by the system or through all of us. And we also need to train our customers and the people, the agents who face the customers, and streamline the complaint and customer care need to be worked on. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we are saying. And in conclusion, I want to say that if we do customer satisfaction, all of us will be winners. Let's do what is expected, and we will achieve at the end of the day. Thank you very much, and I have consumed a lot all the time. So now, this was sharing with you the responses of what we found out, and may I take this opportunity to thank you for listening. We are going to share the report if we have not yet done so. So it is on our website. You may visit it for more details of what is in there so that we can pick lessons. Thank you very much, and meeting closed.